the most incredible place in outer space. Kids Planet! I'm Nova, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. Every time I go on an adventure, I always do my best to follow the rules of whatever planet I might visit. I always keep in mind that I'm a guest and behave within my boundaries so I don't make anyone upset or mad. Knowing my boundaries as an explorer is an important part of any mission. That's why today's expedition is going to teach us all about boundaries. It's going to be great. Fasten your seatbelt because this space expedition starts in 3, 2, 1. Here we go! When I go on adventures and meet new people, I always make sure to show respect for everyone. I know that things that are okay for me might not be okay for others. Do you know what that means? What are boundaries? I know. Let's ask our friend Curious. Curious, what are boundaries? Boundaries are limits. Basically, they're rules on how we should behave in any certain situation. We have boundaries in almost every area in our life. Understanding our boundaries will help us have great friendships, be respectful of others, and they will help us make smart choices. Boundaries are like rules that people create for themselves and for others. Every single person has rights and limits. And just like rights, which allow people to do certain things, the limits or boundaries determine what people can and shouldn't do. There are limits or boundaries almost everywhere. At school, we have boundaries like no running in the hallways, no talking during class, and raise your hand before talking, right? All of those are boundaries or limits that we need to respect at school. If we understand the limits, we won't get into trouble and we will have more fun. If we get to go to the ice cream shop, we can't taste all the flavors or jump on the counter, right? No, of course not. The shop has its boundaries and we have to respect them, or else we won't get any ice cream. There are boundaries everywhere and for everyone. Even adults have boundaries to respect. Let's make a planet list of the places with boundaries we need to pay attention to and respect. Here we go. 1. Hospitals. 2. Churches. 3. Libraries. 4. Schools. 5. Airports. 6. Government buildings. These are just a few places that have important rules and boundaries for everyone. But why are boundaries created? Well, my dad says that boundaries are created to keep order and to have a kind and harmonious community. Without boundaries or limits, it would be chaos. Oh, that's a new word. Say that word. Chaos. Curious, what does chaos mean? Chaos means disorder and confusion. It basically means that things would be crazy. Without rules and boundaries, everything would be chaos. Imagine people doing whatever they want, whenever they want, without respecting the rules or respecting others? Oh no, that doesn't sound good at all, right? That is why it's so important to have boundaries in life. I asked Mrs. Starr how that works. She explained that people need to let others know their limits. That way, others know how to act around them. There are all kinds of boundaries, just like when we visit Aunt Orbit. We have to leave our shoes at the door. No one can enter Aunt Orbit's house with shoes on. She explained to us that she doesn't want all the dirt and bacteria to get on her new floors. Every home has its boundaries. For example, Galaxy's dad has a baseball cards collection that no one is allowed to touch without his permission. I remember one time Galaxy's brother took the collection out to show it to his friends and lost one of the cards. Galaxy's dad got really angry. He said that Galaxy's brother did not respect the boundaries and rules they had discussed. When we don't respect people's boundaries, we can get in trouble. That's why it's so important to understand what the boundaries are, wherever we go and with whatever we do. But what do we do if we don't know everyone's boundaries? Well, my mom says it's simple. By practicing the first rule of kindness, which is always be respectful to everyone. If we are respectful to everyone, we won't have any problem and we won't get in trouble because it would be almost impossible to cross boundaries. Wow! Learning about respecting others' boundaries is so important. We're going to take a quick break, but first, it's time for a Nova quiz. Ready? Here goes. Which of these shows respect for boundaries? A. Not keeping your word when you promise something to your friend. B. Asking your teacher's permission before you leave the classroom. C. Taking someone's toy without asking. Don't go anywhere. The answer when we come back to the best place in outer space, Kids Planet. We'll be right back. Hi there. We're back in the best place in outer space, Kids Planet. Before we continue with our adventure, let's find out the answer to our Nova quiz. Which of these shows respect for boundaries? A. Not keeping your word when you promise something to your friend. B. Asking your teacher's permission before you leave the classroom. C. Taking someone's toy without asking. If you said B, asking your teacher's permission before you leave the classroom, you're right. You did great. Asking your teachers for permission before doing something is the best way to respect boundaries. We have to respect the rules in class because our teachers know what's best for us. So we need their approval before we do something, like going to the bathroom, feeding the class pet, or going to the clinic if our tummies hurt. We have to always ask for permission so our teachers know where we are at all times. It helps keep us safe. Now let's continue our adventure. We've been learning all about boundaries and the reason why people and places have them. They're rules that should be followed. Did you know that you can make your own boundaries? Just like any other person has their own boundaries, you can create your own too. Mom says that we all need to create and show others our boundaries. Curious? Why do we need our own boundaries? We can say that boundaries are guidelines for what is okay with us and what isn't okay. Based on our experiences or what we've learned so far in our lives, we know what we like and what we don't like. It's important to set boundaries right from the beginning of each friendship so that people know from the start what makes us uncomfortable. So, how do we set boundaries? Well, my mom says that's easy. We just need to know ourselves and understand what we like and what we don't like. Then we can communicate that to other people. We shouldn't feel bad or afraid of setting our own boundaries. Everybody has them. Some things you can do when letting other people know your boundaries is being respectful in the way that you say it and being direct. That means say it clearly so the other person understands what you mean. When we create our personal boundaries, we create them from self-respect. Do you know what self-respect means? Let's ask Curious. Curious, what does self-respect mean? Self-respect means giving yourself proper respect, believing that you are good and worthy. We need to respect ourselves and know if something makes us feel uncomfortable, sad, or upset. We need to speak up so it doesn't keep happening. Never be afraid to tell someone if he or she is making you feel uncomfortable, even if it's your friend or family member. Setting your own personal boundaries will help people understand what makes you uncomfortable. Sometimes we might feel afraid of saying no to others because we don't want to be rude. But as long as we're kind and respectful in the way we communicate with other people, we shouldn't be afraid to express our feelings. It's okay to say no to things we don't like or don't feel comfortable with. Those are our boundaries. But that doesn't mean that we can say no to our responsibilities just because we don't like them. I'm talking about doing our homework, cleaning our room, going to bed on time, and doing other chores to help around the house. Don't be afraid of setting your own boundaries or limits. It's important to do this, and it's everyone's right. Remember to respect other people's boundaries just the way you want them to respect yours. If someone does something that makes you feel uncomfortable or sad, respectfully explain what you feel and that you don't want that to happen again. When we take care of ourselves, we are showing the world that we love ourselves. Creating personal boundaries and making sure others respect them will help us to stay happy. Space boundaries are very important too. Everyone needs to have their space to relax, read, or play without other people interrupting them. Sometimes we want to play with others, and sometimes we just want to be alone. And so space boundaries are very important and need to be respected. Boundaries aren't made to create conflict between people. Instead, they're created to make great relationships and safe environments based on respect and trust. We have to make sure we let others know our boundaries, and we have to make sure we respect their boundaries too. Wow! I'm really enjoying our adventure today. We're going to take another quick break. But before we go, it's time to have another Nova quiz. Ready? Yes! What is the best way to let others know about our personal boundaries? A. In a rude voice. B. With a joke. C. In a respectful voice. Stay tuned. We'll be right back to the best place in outer space. Kids Planet! We are back in the best place in outer space. Kids Planet! Let's find out the answer to our Nova quiz. What is the best way to let others know about our personal boundaries? A. In in a rude voice. B, with a joke. C, in a respectful voice. If you said C in a respectful voice, you're right. It's always best to be calm and use a kind, respectful voice to communicate your boundaries to other people. Okay, back to our exploration of boundaries. So we already learned what boundaries are and how to create our own boundaries. There are limits for everyone, and it's important that we know ours. So, what are some other situations in life where we might need to pay attention to boundaries? One would be when it comes to belongings of other people. We can't take things that we want without asking the owner. It's just not right. We always need to ask first. And if the person says no, we need to respect that. Another situation where we need to pay attention to boundaries is when we're not at home. If we go to a friend's house or restaurant or school or any other place, we need to control ourselves and behave in a proper way. We need to follow the rules of wherever we are. Just like people have boundaries, places, countries, and animals have boundaries too. But how can animals have boundaries, you might ask? Well, it's easy. If we grab a dog or cat by their tail, they will probably get mad or even bite us, right? That's how they create boundaries. They are letting us know that they don't like to be grabbed by the tail. You see, even animals create personal boundaries, and we need to respect them too. Just like we would respect people's boundaries. And we also need to create boundaries for our pets so they know how to behave, right? I remember when Comet first got home. He loved to chew our shoes, but right away, we created boundaries for him. He needed to understand that what he was doing was not right. Destroying our shoes was definitely not allowed. And with a little practice, he got it. He's such a smart dog. Even animals understand they need to respect the rules and boundaries. And when everyone respects boundaries, we keep a peaceful environment that we can all enjoy. My mom says that to respect boundaries, we need to practice obedience. Obedience. That's another big word. Curious, what does obedience mean? Obedience means being willing to work with others when they ask you to do something. For example, if we go to the museum, we can't run around and scream. We all know that one of the rules of the museum is to stay quiet and walk, not run. If we respect the rules and we are obedient, we will have no problem exploring the museum and learning all the amazing things they have for us. We can still have so much fun. Being obedient makes us pleasant kids to be around. Everyone loves obedient and respectful kids. I have an idea. Let's make another planet list of the things for which we should show respect. Here we go. 1. People. We have to show respect for everybody. No matter where they come from, how they look, how they speak, or how old they are. We should always respect everyone. 2. Rules. We have to respect the rules so we don't get in trouble. 3. Boundaries. We have to respect the limits that people and places have. 4. Ideas. Sometimes people will have ideas, preferences, and make decisions that we might not agree with. Even if we don't agree, we still need to respect them. 5. People's belongings. We have to respect other people's things and ask for permission before we use them. Great job! Remember, it's always important to listen to our parents and obey their rules. And everyone has rules and boundaries to obey. Even grown-ups. Ant Orbit says that every city and country has rules that all their citizens have to follow. Do you know why? Because it is the only way to keep things fair, to keep everyone safe and living in peace. Keep in mind that everyone has rules and boundaries to obey. It's not only us. I loved our adventure today. We learned so much about the importance of boundaries. Boundaries are the rules that help us live in harmony with others. Everyone has boundaries to respect. Always be kind and respectful to everyone. Before we end today's mission, we have to make a quick stop for our interplanet trivia. And we're going to need some help. Why don't we call my best friend Galaxy? Yay, Galaxy, you're here! We learned a lot about the importance of boundaries today. We learned that boundaries are limits. They are rules for how we should behave in certain situations. Understanding boundaries will help us have great friendships, be respectful to others, and make smart choices. If there were no boundaries, there would be chaos. Everything would be crazy. Boundaries are important because they help communities keep order, and they help the people to be kind and stay in harmony. Great! Now that we've reviewed what boundaries are, let's test what we've learned. Can you figure out in which of these places Galaxy should show respect for boundaries or rules? Is it when she visits the hospital? Is it when she goes to the library? Or is it whenever she's at home? Remember what we learned today. Do you think you know the answer? In hospitals, we need to remember to be respectful. We must not run, be loud, or disturb others. We must make sure that everyone feels comfortable, especially those who are sick. At the library, we must also make sure to be quiet. That's the #1 rule. We also need to remember to pick up after ourselves and make sure to return the books on time. At home, different families might have different boundaries, but we always make sure to do our chores, our homework, and respect those around us. The answer has to be all 3. We must always respect boundaries as well as those around us. Thanks, everyone. You too, Galaxy. Remember, boundaries can be set by anyone and any place. You can even set your own boundaries. You just need to know what you like and don't like. It's also important to make sure to communicate your likes and dislikes to others respectfully. Creating boundaries for yourself shows self-respect, and that you are not afraid of telling someone when they make you uncomfortable. I love our adventures. We learned so much, and we had so much fun together. It's time to say goodbye, but we'll see each other again, right here in the best place in outer space. Kids Planet! See you soon!